Capricorn, what's going on with you? It's your girl D here with 8th house energy, and I'm here to do your Saturn retrograde reading for the month or for the year of 2022. All right. This is going to be a general reading. Please take what resonates, leave the rest. If you need a personal, my information is in the box below the video. What I would like you to do before you get into this video is hit pause, go to the community tab for the 8th house energy channel. Look and scroll down to the posting for June 4th, where I talk about Saturn in retrograde. You'll see it in the first line of the posting. Read that, then come back and watch this video. All right, it's going to give you a better understanding of how to interpret the video, because what we're dealing with is we're dealing with Saturn, which deals with karma. We're also dealing with Pluto, which deals with reincarnation, because you can't have one without the other, okay, on a spiritual level. You will not have one without the other. And so since they are adjacent to each other, they're in the same, well, you know, Capricorn for you, Pluto's in your first house in retrograde. Saturn is in your second house in retrograde. So they're right next to each other. So this is why I'm going to do this reading where I'm doing this top row is representative of Saturn, which is your second house. Your second house deals with your self-esteem, your self-worth, your self-value. It also deals with your money-making potential, because the better you feel about yourself, the more money you will be able to make. It has to do with your physical possessions, okay? It also has to do with real estate. It has to do with your security, your survival, all right? The second house is the house of survival, okay? So we're going to take a look at that. And then these black cards that I'm laying out is going to deal with Pluto in retrograde in your first house. So Pluto, you know, in retrograde, it's both of these planets are going to be in retrograde until I think it's October. So you'll have the whole summer to look at these energies. When planets are in retrograde, you want to sit back and reflect on them and look at, you know, what you may need to change, what you've done differently, what you haven't done differently, what you should do differently. And then, you know, get a plan in place, review everything, make sure you got all your I's dotted and T's crossed, so that by the time the planets go direct in October, you'll be able to move forward. And moving forward in this case means, you know, moving forward in developing karma for yourself, positive karma moving forward, right? So this row represents past life karma that you've brought into this life. This represents the karma that you are creating right now in this life. And this represents the karma that is going to come to you as a result of what you're doing right now, right? So if you read the information, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's very important that you read that so you understand, because I don't want to repeat that in every video, right? So I put that out so that you would have a very specific understanding of how we're doing this. Past life karma, present karma, and future karma, right? Look at the definition of those in the community tab at the June 4th posting. Now, this part here is Capricorn. This part here is Saturn in retrograde in Aquarius. So Saturn is all about restrictions. It's all about discipline. You know, cutting back, making alterations, making adjustments. It also has to do with time, okay? And it also has to do with karma, okay? So when we're talking about Aquarius, Aquarius is all about your hopes, your dreams, long-term goals, future plans, maturity, growth, tapping in on behalf of the collective. It deals with, Aquarius energy deals with your social life, how popular you are or how infamous you are as well, right? So we're dealing with those energies in reference to how you feel about yourself, your self-esteem, your self-worth, the house of survival, you know, your house of security versus insecurity. Okay, and then we have the bottom row here, which deals with your first house. Pluto's in your first house. Your first house is yourself, is you, how you represent yourself to the world, how you, you know, do you stand your ground? How do you stand your ground? What do you do to, you know, let people know, look, I have a space in this world as well, and I command my respect, I command my energy, I command my space. So it's how you present yourself to the world. Right? So with Pluto in retrograde there, Pluto's all about rebirth, regeneration, reincarnation, right? So when you reincarnate into a new life, you have past life karma that comes over into this life that you have to settle. Okay? Also, while you're settling that past life karma, you're in the process of creating karma that in the future you're going to reap. And if you don't reap that karma before you die, whether it's good or bad, when you reincarnate, you're going to settle that karmic debt in the new life. All right? So it's a cycle. So this is why karma and reincarnation go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. And no one truly gets away with everything. Maybe in the 3D realm they might, but not as far as in the spiritual realm. If you do someone dirty, like, for example, someone who killed someone, and maybe they got away with it as in they weren't persecuted or brought to justice in the 3D realm, that person is going to suffer some form of karma in their next life in reference to that. You ever wonder why things happen to you? You didn't do nothing, or you see people and things happen to them, and it's like, yo, they good people. They never did nothing wrong. This is an innocent person, or I didn't do anything to deserve this, and you may not have done in this life, but in a past life, you could have done something to deserve it, and so it didn't catch up with you before you died. And so now it's being brought back over to you in this life to suffer from or to deal with, It could be a positive karma or a negative karma. So, somebody could have hit the lotto. Maybe in a past life, you did something for someone or some type of blessing was supposed to come to you, and you died before, that karma, that positive karma came back to you. So in this life, you may be somebody who hits the lotto, and then your life is a blessing moving forward. And then you have the other scenario I gave. Maybe you did something terrible to someone in a past life. And then when you come back to this life, maybe terrible things have happened to you up until Saturn goes into retrograde, and it makes you stop and say, okay, Saturn could say either you paid your debt or I need you to take a look at what's going on because, the time is up for this. So Saturn in retrograde makes you think about, okay, is it time, can I take this with me? Can I continue doing this? Have I outgrown this? Because Saturn deals with time. Saturn is the equivalent. When Saturn is direct, it's like, okay, you're in third grade, right? When Saturn goes indirect, when Saturn goes retrograde, it's like, okay, I've graduated third grade. Now it's time for me to move to the fourth. Now, if for whatever reason you didn't do what you were supposed to do when you were in third grade, you didn't take the tests, you didn't pass, you didn't study, or what have you needed to do, what'll happen is with Saturn retrograde, you will be judged, all right? And your karma will be you cannot go to the fourth grade. If you did what you were supposed to do, then your karma will be you can elevate to the next level. And now you're able to create karma in the fourth grade level that'll help you to move on to the fifth. So it's levels and layers. Now, say, for example, you did everything that you needed to do to pass from the third grade to the fourth grade, but before you got to the fourth grade, maybe you passed away. So in the next life you'll come back in, and in the next life you will reap the benefits of you passing that level. In the past life, you're gonna benefit those. You're gonna reap those benefits in this life. So even if you did something positive and it doesn't come to you in this life, you're gonna reap the benefits of it in the next life. Okay, so this is why it's very important that moving forward, knowing this and understanding this, you now can't act like you don't know. Knowledge, see, this is what it is when you know things, right? When you know better, you do better. So moving forward, make sure you plant positive seeds as much as possible so that you can reap positive benefits in this life. And if you don't get all of them in this life, when you come back in the next life to reincarnate, you get them in the next life as well, right? So with that being said, let's get to this. So in the past life, we have a constellation energy. So this represents your second house. So maybe there was some questions you asking your higher self or your spirit guides or your guardian angels. Why? What's going on? Why is this happening? Let me justify what I did. Let me explain. Or, I've been doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. Why is it not working? Or why can't I have? But there's an energy here of why and explaining yourself. The psychology behind it is assumption. So maybe you assumed if you did something, you would get some type of, if you put something out, that you would get a certain response back or a certain return back. So you're like, okay, so if I do, I'm assuming that this is what I'm supposed to get, right? Something like that. So that happened in a past life. We'll clarify that and find out what this is. But this represents the second house, the value, your self-esteem, your self-worth. This represents your security, your stability. Okay, so you could be questioning what you need to do in order to have what it is that you want. The psychology behind you doing that is the assumption card, or to assume. Okay, so you may have assumed that something may have happened, or that you were supposed to get something based on what you did, and maybe you're questioning that. So you could have done something positive in a past life, and you're like, okay, I did this, I did that. How come I'm not getting, just rewards for that? I should be getting just rewards for that. I deserve just rewards for that, right? Okay, so or why is this happening to me? I assumed that if I did this, it would be that way. Well, that's the energy you may have passed away with. And so as a result, that karma was not settled. So now it's being brought over into the current situation, your current life. And so what you're dealing with now is the thief card energy in reverse. So what went on in the dark comes out in the light. Okay? So with Saturn energy in the second house, this could be, maybe there was some struggle that you had, that you fought for, or you worked really hard for something, and maybe it wasn't, everybody didn't see that, but it was something that you did because it went on in the dark. So something went on in the dark. The psychology behind it is excuses. So your first house, where we're talking about Capricorn and we're talking about Pluto retrograde here, Pluto talks about power struggles as well. So when it's in retrograde, you're looking at the power struggles you had in a situation. So there could be, as a result of that power struggle, some excuses. So maybe the excuses are why things are coming into the light. Or maybe and then you're okay, so maybe a light was shed on something that you did behind closed doors, and now that it's being brought to the light, maybe your response to it is you have an excuse for it, because this is somebody who's like explaining, like, but let me just explain. So maybe you did something in a past life, and you did it with the assumption of some result, okay, and the result didn't come out, and then in this lifetime you're repeating that same karmic lesson, okay, but this time maybe what you did comes out in the light, and maybe it's not a good thing, or maybe it is, but there's some excuses that are coming up as a result of this situation that you did in the dark that's coming out in the light. Now, through the whole month, through the whole summer, you'll have time to think about what this is, okay, and what you've done and what you didn't do, what you could have done, what you should do. Is the time up? Do you have more time? If you don't, what do you need to do moving forward so that you can progress? That type of thing. And if you progress in a positive way, by the time the planets realign in or go direct in the fall, you will be on a path of setting positive karma. And what you would reap if you do the right thing is the jail energy in reverse. You will be released. You could be released from, maybe some of you are in prison. Maybe you'll be released from prison. Maybe you acted and did something in a manner in which it was justifiable in a certain way. If it's not physical prison that you'll be released from, it's mental or spiritual prison that you will be released from. So that's a good thing. All right, because if you're released from spiritual prison, that means your karmic debt has been served. Especially with Capricorn, you got Pluto in your first house, and then you got Saturn in your second house. So your karmic debt will be served. The psychological energy behind that would be envious. So envious. Envious is the thought of, it's like, to me, it's like wishing you had something someone else had. And then jealousy is you acting out on it. Let me determine which one is which. Because jealousy and envy, they are two separate things. One is the thought of it. It's like, I wish I had what they had. I wish they didn't have that. And then jealousy is, them acting out on the fact that they are envious. So let me just make sure, because I think that's what that is. Okay, so feeling or showing envy. Yeah, so jealousy is actually showing the envy that you feel within inside. Okay, the envy is the feeling that you have of wishing something was somebody else's or they don't deserve it, I do. So you could be released from that feeling of feeling like you deserve something. Because I feel like here, this is what you're saying. You're saying in the past life, like, look, I did A, B, and C, so I assumed that I would have D, E, and F. And so that could very well be the case, but maybe you weren't able to collect on that in the past life. So now in this life, it's being revealed to you with the thief card in reverse. And the psychology behind it is excuses. So, the excuses part is interesting because it's like, okay, you know what? I know I need to do what I need to do. I know that I can't make any excuses. I know that I can't use this as an excuse. And if you accept the fact that you cannot use that as an excuse anymore, then you will be serving your karmic debt and you will be released. And you will be released from, people who, this could be people too, who are jealous and envious of you. Because remember, Pluto deals with other people's energy as well, right? Because Pluto rules Scorpio. So your energy combined with someone else's, like soul ties. Pluto deals with soul ties. So maybe you will be released from being with somebody or around someone who's jealous and envious of you. Okay? It's like maybe, okay, I did this for this person. I assumed that they would, be grateful and thankful, right? And so maybe you didn't, like I said, you didn't get that just due in the past life. So in this life, what you have done, or the acts that you have done up until now, have proven that, okay, you did what you were supposed to do. You settled this karmic debt, but it's contingent upon you not making excuses and doing what you were supposed to do. As long as you're not making excuses for whatever it is you're doing, or you let go of the excuses that you had, and you realize that, okay, I see what it was that I was doing, and there's no excuse for it. I accept the fact that that should have been different. You'll settle the karmic debt. Okay, so what we'll do in the extended is we will get 2 or 3 cards for each of these, and we'll get more into it. So what we did was we just basically, put the frame on. So now what we're going to do is fill in all the details. So if this resonates with you or someone you know, make sure you click that like button. Leave a comment if you would like to as well. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you'll know when I post. The link to the extended's in the box below. So hopefully I'll see you there, Cap City. If not, I'll check you out in the next reading. I appreciate you coming and checking out this one. I love you guys, and I'll see you later.